Emily, an art student, had just moved into a small apartment on the outskirts of a bustling city. The place was charming, with vintage decor, but the most striking feature was a large, ornate mirror hanging in the living room, a piece left behind by the previous tenant. At first, Emily admired the mirror, appreciating how it made the small room feel brighter and more spacious. However, as the days went by, she began to notice something odd. Every time she glanced at the mirror at night, she felt as if someone, or something, was watching her from the other side. One night, while working late on her laptop, Emily caught a fleeting shadow moving in the mirror's reflection. She spun around quickly but found nothing. Dismissing it as her imagination, she tried to focus, but the uneasy feeling lingered. Over the following nights, things escalated. She started hearing faint whispers coming from the direction of the mirror, speaking in a language she couldn't recognize. Occasionally, faint handprints appeared on the glass, even though she hadn't touched it. Determined to prove she wasn't imagining things, Emily set up her phone to record the mirror overnight. The next morning, when she reviewed the footage, her blood ran cold. A tall, shadowy man with a blurred face stood behind her in the reflection. She hadn't seen him the night before, and worse, he seemed to be smiling. Frightened, Emily called her friend Jake for help. When Jake arrived, he checked every corner of the apartment but found nothing unusual. However, as they stood in front of the mirror together, Jake suddenly froze, his face pale. "Emily," he stammered, pointing at the mirror, "he's standing right behind you." Emily turned around quickly but saw nothing. When she looked back at the mirror, the man was still there, grinning wickedly. His eyes glowed a sinister red as he raised a hand and started reaching out of the glass. Terrified, Emily and Jake fled the apartment and stayed at a friend's house. They began researching the history of the mirror and discovered a chilling story. The mirror had belonged to a 19th century occultist who used it to trap cursed souls. The man in the mirror was once a serial killer, executed for his crimes, whose soul had been imprisoned within the glass. Determined to end the horror, Emily and Jake decided to destroy the mirror. But when they returned to her apartment, the mirror was gone. In its place, scrawled across the wall in what looked like blood, were the words, "I am always watching." After the incident, Emily moved to a new apartment, hoping to leave the nightmare behind. But the terror wasn't over. One night, as she was preparing for bed, her phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. She opened it to find a single image, the man's face, staring directly at her. Beneath it, a message read, "You can never escape me."